Welcome to the 43rd lecture of Digital Electronics subject. So in this lecture we are going to deal with what are the some definitions which is associated with the KMAP and what are the limitations associated with the KMAP. Okay. So the basic definitions what we are going to study is, first one is, okay, so before going to the first one, let me give a general classification of it. So generally it is classified into SOP forms. In SOP form, what are the definitions, and in POS form, what are the expressions? Okay. So in SOP form, the expressions are the definitions what is required are, first one is what is prime implicant. What is prime implicant? Second one, what is essential prime implicant? Essential prime implicant. Third one, what is selective prime implicant? What is redundant prime implicant? And the last one is fourth one, that is selective prime implicant. Okay. Now coming into POS form, we have first one, what is false prime implicant? False prime implicant. False prime implicant. Second one is essential false prime implicant. Third one is selective essential. Then third one is redundant. For this we have redundant false prime implicant, and last one is selective false prime implicant. So we have basically 8 definitions, which is so the first definitions. If you know the definition of SOP, then POS form can be automatically be created. So only difference is in how to take it. Okay. So coming into prime implicant. So this prime implicant type definitions are generally done in sum of product form or SOP form. Okay. Now consider a KMAP in SOP form. For example, I am considering a 4 variable KMAP. Okay. With some ones like this. Say A, B, C, D, you are having 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. Okay. So you are having 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay. So what is prime implicant? Prime implicant means it is prime implicant means it is adjacent minterms forming a subcube. Okay. So each cube is also known as each cell. Okay, that means you can have here there are 15 cells. Okay. So prime implicant means adjacent minterms which is forming a subcube. That is known as prime implicant. For example, if I am having this one, if I am having these two, okay, These two forms a prime implicant. Similarly, these two also forms a prime implicant. Okay, so this is also a prime implicant. This is also a prime implicant. If I am taking the pairs, so here we are getting the prime implicants. Okay, hope you have understood the concept of prime implicant. Okay, now coming into essential prime implicant. Next one is essential prime implicant or EPI. Essential prime implicant is the prime implicant which contains prime implicant which is not covered by any other prime implicants. It is not covered by any other prime implicants. Okay. So to know what is an essential prime implicant, let me rub these ideas. Okay. So okay, so I am taking a one here also. Okay, so here what we can say, how many prime implicants are there? So you can take this as a prime implicant. This is a essential prime implicant. Okay, again you can have this one. This one we can consider as a essential prime implicant. Then we are considering these two separately, that becomes essential prime implicant, and these two, okay, these two becomes what? That is essential prime implicant. So essential prime implicant means this generally means it should contain all the terms. Okay, that is essential prime implicant. Now coming to what is selective prime implicant, that is the question. Okay, so what is a selective prime implicant means? So in this essential prime implicant, if you are taking a combination like this, suppose if you are taking a combination like this, okay, that is actually inside the essential prime implicant. Okay, so either you can take that prime implicant. Okay, then such kind of implicants are known as selective prime implicants. Okay, such kind of implicants are known as selective prime implicants. Okay, now again, if I am taking a prime implicant inside a essential prime implicant, that is if I am taking a prime implicant like this, I can take a prime implicant here. Okay, that is already inside an essential prime implicant. Okay, then such kind of prime implicants are known as redundant prime implicants. Okay, so here I have explained about prime implicant, essential prime implicant, selective prime implicant, and redundant prime implicant. Okay, so prime implicant means what are the subgroups which you can form by pairing or by making a quad or by making an octet, etc. That gives the prime implicant. Essential prime implicant means what are the minimum number of terms or minimum number of combinations which is required to form a minimized expression. Okay, that gives the essential prime implicant. What is selective prime implicant? If there are two essential prime implicants and if I am selecting a common from that, okay, it can be considered as a selective prime implicant. Now what is redundant prime implicant? If I am taking a prime implicant from an essential prime implicant, then it is already in the for example, if this is the case, if I am taking this one and one, that prime implicant is already in essential prime implicant, then such kind of prime implicants is known as redundant prime implicant. Okay, so because no need to specify that. Okay, because it is already redundant in that, already it is included in essential prime implicant. Okay, And selective prime implicant means you can take it or not take it. But to take the selective prime implicant, it should be in the prime implicants or the essential prime implicants should have some joint. That means here this is an essential prime implicant, this is another essential prime implicant, and if you are taking the combination from two essential prime implicants, then only it becomes selective. Two or more essential prime implicants, then only it will become selective prime implicants. Okay. Now this is in which form? This is in POS form. If entire thing changes into POS form, if the entire thing changes into POS form, the only difference is the ones becomes zeros. Then the only difference is instead of prime implicant, it is also known as false prime implicant. Okay. So if it is here it is known as essential false prime implicant. That is the only difference. Okay. That means in SOP form, if it is known as prime implicant, in POS form, if I am taking zeros, then it is known as false prime implicant, and selective false prime implicant, redundant false prime implicant, etc. Okay. The concept is same as that in SOP form, but in POS form, instead of these ones, we will be taking zeros. That is the only difference in while taking prime implicants. So I think you have got a concept of prime implicant, selective prime implicant, or redundant prime implicant, and essential prime implicant. Okay. So here essential prime, so while forming the minimized expression, essential prime implicants are having more importance. Okay. So that is regarding prime implicant, essential prime implicant, redundant prime implicant, selective prime implicant, false prime implicant, essential FPI, redundant. Redundant, false prime implicant, and selective false prime implicant. So it can be taken from a for variable K-map only. Now coming into some drawbacks. Of K-map. Drawbacks or limitations of K-map. Okay. First one, if number of variables increases, then number of submaps will be more. Which means that the calculation becomes more complex. Okay. So generally we will be up to 6 variables or 7 variables. We will be going with K-map. Whereas for above that this K-map, if you are going to reduce using K-map, then the calculations becomes more tough. Second one is K-map is basically kernel map is basically a manual method. It is a manual method, and it cannot be incorporated into the system. It cannot be incorporated into a computer system. That is the second one. Coming to the third drawback, it is basically a tabular method. Although the method is easy, it is time consuming. So to overcome these drawbacks, the methods which is proposed is Quine-McCluskey method to overcome these drawbacks. We are having Quine-McCluskey method, and or some other tabular method is formed, or some other tabular method is formed. Okay, this Quine-McCluskey method and the other form of tabular method that is not essential in your syllabus. Okay, so here what I am here in this lecture, it is a short lecture which I have mentioned about what is prime implicant, essential prime implicant, redundant prime implicant, and citive prime implicant in SOP form. And if it is coming in the POS form, it becomes false prime implicant, essential false prime implicant, redundant FPA, and selective FPA. Okay, so I am ending this short lecture on this and I also mentioned about the drawbacks or limitations of K-map, and in this I am ending with this short lecture on some definitions based on K-map and limitations of K-map. Thank you.